the other side, we talk to Pops, the creative director, Pops, the script writer, Pops, the art director, Pops who traveled from Hyderabad to Bangalore, then to conquer the big bad city of Mumbai, right? Worked across agencies including ASP, Ulka, JWT, Enterprise, Lintas, Leo Burnett, and then the Pops who reinvented himself to become a digital avatar into Sapien Nitro. On this side, I want to talk to Pops the artist. Okay, that Pops is also an artist who paints, who does interesting stuff. So let me first ask about the Gandhi font which you developed, which kind of became a big phenomenon. How did you get the idea and how long did it take to do it, and what all did you go through to develop that Gandhi font?
Yeah, it took a long time. I think one day I woke up and then I read the news in Times of India that Gandhi glasses are on an auction in New York City, and it costed $2.1 million.
The glasses which
Gandhi
actually wore.
Went on an auction in New York City, and Government of India did not find $2.1 million. So I woke up, I couldn't believe myself that a man who owned nothing, correct, he had one dhoti, one spice, and then one watch, and then one stick. And 1.3 billion people, fourth largest economy that time, in the world, could not spend $2.1 million. So I quickly woke up my wife and then said that I am selling my house. I want 2.1 million to go and then buy that. And she said, a fit of rage, maybe I said something. She said, fine. On the way back to the office, then I realized the very words of Gandhi. You can have my bones, but not my obedience. Correct? Let them have his specs, but not his vision. So then
That's
I
a good
started
thought,
thinking,
right? Let them have his specs, but we still have his vision.
We still have his vision. So how can we actually keep the vision of him is where my thinking was going. And then couple of days later, I learned that a liquor baron has bought it. That added insult to the injury. That Mahatma Gandhi, how he would have felt that nevertheless he did it not for commercial reasons, to really save. But that is when it really struck me that how can I keep his vision alive. Then I thought he has got beautiful round glasses. Why don't I create a font which is digitally be available, and it will always live in the digital space. You may die, but still Gandhi's, there's nothing of Gandhi which is available digitally. Correct? Maybe some books here and there, but a lot of stuff is not available digitally. So how can we make Gandhi alive digitally through a font? And as long as the font is there, people will use it, somebody will ask the question, learn something about Gandhi. I went to an extent to meet Mr. Reddy at RBI, saying that, can you change the currency notes? Can you use my font? I was so crazy about, but it took me 3 years to complete the project. And I had created font, a Gandhi font, in 12 different languages, including Urdu.
Wow.
It was a nightmare. In some languages, I had to do as many as 500 characters to really complete the entire set.
How long did this whole project take?
3 years.
Wow. Can you show the viewers the font? Do you have it on your...
No, right now I don't have it, but I can. Yeah, probably it's there on my blog, so one can find it on the blog.
Okay, so now coming to the last part of our discussion, I wanted to show you my new book, and I think this is Nawab Nudes and Noodles. So I've featured a lot of campaigns in this book. So if you were to think back, and you entered advertising the same year I did, in a sense, 1979. So you've been involved in advertising for over 37 years almost, right? What would be one or two campaigns which you think have really made an impact? May not be your campaigns, but it made an impact on Indian society. And this book is about that, but I thought I'll take your
there are many things. I think the first impact which made was the language itself. It's quite sad that people don't realize that in India television started in rural areas. It never started in the urban cities, and a lot of communication used to happen, entertainment used to happen in Hindi, not in English. So somehow advertising used to be caught up in this, the South Bombay English medium. I think that was the first huge difference which it has made. The very first commercial I did featured Deepika from, she played Sita in Ramayana.
Deepika, the other Deepika.
The other Deepika, yes, okay. Correct. She played Sita. So the effect of the language was great, and advertising was quick enough to really adopt that. So I'm talking about 82, 83. We made our first commercial, and then I have used a celebrity who's Sita, and then who had an instant connect with all Indians.
Which ad was this?
This was for Happy Home.
Okay.
And that was the first, one of the first television pieces of work which used an Indian celebrity, for Indian masses. Later on, if you see from there to Luna, and then to Vataj. So the Indianization, Taj, the entire tea, Taj Mahal tea, when I took over the brand, we used to have Malavika Tiwari doing aerobics, tandem cycling, the Western lifestyle. There was nothing Indian about that brand. While you actually go and then see, the volume of Taj used to be contributed by 10 paisa packs, 5 paisa packs.
No,
and that was the biggest.
I think the use of Zakir Hussain, the use of the instrument tabla, the use of tabla notes itself is something which probably built the Taj Mahal brand, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There were two things in that. One was there was certain reassurance of quality, and then second, tea taster is such an important part. And then tea tasters, taste hundreds of teas before they actually give you the right taste. Is exactly like an artist, who practices hundreds and thousands of hours to give you a perfect note. So I think that is the first biggest change which has happened in Indian advertising is Indianization itself. It took long time. When we grew up, we only had Gresson Dacuna and Sylvie, all of them writing.
Frank Simoes
writing impeccable
wonderful
English. It's all about English. It's all about Western lifestyle. It is all about, if the paint has to be something, the carpet has to be Persian. It's always, create a desire. There was no reality. It was upper class, and then completely, different kind of work used to happen. So that itself, I consider as the biggest change. The second huge change which is happening last 10 to 15 years is the way, the societal change which is coming through advertising. Okay. It is not advertising which is actually reflecting the way people live. It is, the way people are living is a reflection. Advertising is actually portraying that reflection. Earlier we always showed a tandem cycle and said go, and then we never used to have one, go and then get one made to really fit into this lifestyle. Now we are not saying that, if you are whatever you are doing, I borrow from your life.
So does advertising borrow from life, or does advertising suggest to life?
I think once it's a thing about how what you take out of society. All stories are inspired by human beings. It is all human stories which interest. So it is just that I pick up a story from somewhere, and then I narrate that story to a larger section of people. Then it becomes an inspirational thing, and it will also influence people. Correct? It is exactly the story which we narrated in KBC for that girl child one. It's a real story. It is inspired by a real story. When you actually take that inspiration and then weave a story around that, and then you tell to a larger audience.
Was it your campaign which said that sirf gyan hi
aapka haq dilata hai?
That was a great, I've written about it in the book. It's a great way of repositioning quiz. it is no longer the exclusive domain of the convent school kids.
Absolutely. If you were to see the second stint of KBC and also Bachchan, was that KBC is seen as somebody who already has money. You and me go there and then win 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs, and then give away half the money to charity, and then we'll say that yeah, money makes no difference to my life. And a lot of people who are viewing that, to them it makes a lot of difference. So it has been the most hated show, and then the most loved show is because of the Bachchan. Most hated show is because of the contestants. So what one of the things which I had to do was to really, when Sony took over, to really reposition it, from greed for money to need for money. Actually, people
I think one or
need.
two of those ads are really fantastic.
So that is actually shifting gear towards what people want.
That
it's
also
real stories.
That fitted in with the new psyche of India, right? With education, you can actually make money. Earlier, it was not education. You had to have contacts, you had to have this, you had to have wealth to make money.
A season before that, on KBC, it happened, there was a woman who came from interior parts of Maharashtra, and then that year, the Copenhagen summit was happening against pollution and environment. And she could actually say where it has happened. She actually said it happened in Copenhagen. And then Mr. Bachchan asked her, how did you know you come from such a small place? He says that एक दिन देर होती है, फिर भी newspaper तो मिलता है. So one day it might get, she may have one day
newspaper one day late.
But she gets, and then she updates herself. Yeah. So it is all about knowledge.
So I think it's been great talking to you, Pops. And I was told to ask one last question, and then we'll come to the next project of yours, which is there any quote which you think which has inspired you? Quotation from any famous person?
Yeah, it is nothing to do with advertising, but to do with the life, which has guided me all my life. As a little boy, I think I was in 8th or 9th standard. I read this book by Hermann Hesse.
Siddhartha, was it?
The Siddhartha. There was one beautiful quote of Siddhartha when the merchant asks him, what can you do? He says that I can think, I can wait, and I can starve. I mean, at the surface of it, they mean like normal words, but you actually think about them, that they have profound values attached to that. You must keep the hunger. You must be able to wait. Patience is quite a way.
Good.
And thinking, you can't say that you are a master of thinker.
Absolutely. So thank you, Pops.
Thank you.
And we look forward to you reinventing yourself once again, and bring us something new in the coming 3 months, 6 months. Maybe a book, maybe paintings, maybe a new font, maybe a great new digital campaign. Right? So friends, that was the one and only KV Sridhar, lovingly called Pops, talking to us, taking us on a fascinating life journey which he has had, and he continues to have as he builds new campaigns, new frontiers, and new things to keep him busy and keep all of us happy. So thank you, Pops, and as a mark of my appreciation to the time you spent with me, a little token, my new book, Nawab's Nudes and Noodles. I hope you enjoy reading it, and I hope you will review it in some big magazine very soon.
Absolutely. If you give gifts like this, I will have an interview a day with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Nobody would have seen it.